Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9, entitled The Passing Away of Bhishma Dev, Text 39. Vijayarata Kutumba Tautare Drida Hayarashmini Yatriyakshane Bhagavati Rati Rastu Me Mumurshur Yame Vaniriksha Hatagata Swarupam Vijayarata Kutumba Totare Drida Hayarasmini Taktriyakshaniye Bhagavati Rati Rastu Me Mumurshur Yame Haniriksha Hatagata Surupam. Please chant. Vijayarata Kutumba Tatatre Rita Hayarasmini Taktriyakshaniye Bhagavati Rati Rastu Me Mumurshu Yami Vaniriksha Hata Gata Sarupam Jayarata Kutumba Tatotre Ita Hayarasmi Taktriyakshaniye Bhagavati Rati Rastu Me Mumurshu Yamiha Niriksha Hata Gata Surupam Vijayarata Kutumba Tatotre Rita Hayarashmini Takshayakshaniye Bhagavati Rati Rastu Me Mumurshu Yamiha Niriksha Hata Gata Sarupam Vijaya Arjuna Ratha Chariot Kutumbe the object of protection at all risk Atatotre with a whip in the right hand Dridahaya controlling the horses Rashmini ropes Tatshriya beautifully standing Ikshaniye to look at Bhagavati onto the personality of Godhead Ratihi Astu let my attraction be Mumurshuhu one who is about to die Yam upon whom Iha in this world Nirikshya by looking Hataha those who died Gataha attained Swarupam original form Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So it's a fairly long purport. Translation. At the moment of death, let my ultimate attraction be to Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. I concentrate my mind upon the chariot driver of Arjuna, who stood with a whip in his right hand and a bridle rope in his left, who was very careful to give protection to Arjuna's chariot by all means. Those who saw him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained their original forms after death. Purport. A pure devotee of the Lord constantly sees the presence of the Lord within himself because of being transcendentally related by loving service. Such a pure devotee cannot forget the Lord for a moment. This is called trance. The mystic, yogi, tries to concentrate upon the supersoul by controlling the senses from all other engagements. And thus he ultimately attains samadhi. A devotee more easily attains samadhi or trance by constantly remembering the Lord's personal feature along with his holy name, fame, pastimes, etc. Therefore, the concentration of the mystic yogi and that of the devotee are not on the same level. The concentration of the mystic is mechanical, whereas that of the pure devotee is natural in pure love and spontaneous affection. Bhishmadev was a pure devotee, and as a military marshal, he constantly remembered the battlefield feature of the Lord as Parthasarathi, the chariot driver of Arjuna. Therefore, the Lord's pastimes as Parthasarathi is also eternal. The pastimes of the Lord, beginning from his birth at the prison house of Kamsa up to his Maushala Lila at the end, all move one after another in all the universes, just as the clock hand moves from one point to another. And in such pastimes, his associates, like the Pandavas and Bhishma, are constant eternal companions. So Bhishmadev never forgot the beautiful feature of the Lord as Parthasarathi, which even Arjuna could not see. Arjuna was behind the beautiful Parthasarathi, while Bhishmadev was just in front of the Lord. As far as the military feature of the Lord is concerned, Bhishmadev observed this with more relish than Arjuna. All the soldiers and the persons on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attain their original spiritual form like the Lord after their death, because by the causeless mercy of the Lord, they were able to see him face to face on that occasion.
Can you read can you read that line?
This line?
I thought you said as they are. Okay, go ahead.
Let me. Should I read it? All the soldiers and persons on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attain their original spiritual form like the Lord after their death. Huh?
The Lord is missing. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, this is what my book says. Yeah. Like the Lord after their death, because by the causeless mercy of the Lord, they were able to see him Vaikunthas or in the Goloka planet, according to the original nature of the soul. This form, which is 100% spiritual, is the Swarupa of the living being. And all the living beings who participated on the battlefield of Kurukshetra on both sides attain their Swarupa as confirmed by Bhishmadev. So Lord Sri Krishna, was not merciful only to the Pandavas, he was also merciful to the other parties because all of them attained the same result. Bhishmadev wanted the same facility also, and that was his prayer to the Lord. Although his position as an associate of the Lord is assured in all circumstances, the conclusion is that whoever does looking on the personality of Godhead within or without attains his Swarup, which is the highest perfection of life. Om Gyanatimantasya Gyananjana Shlakaya Chakshurmaitangena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Srila Bhargava Prabhuti Namane Sri Sri Vrindatavi Vira Padapad Pankajaya Daine Prabhupada Nupadaya Namah Sri Gurvave. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vicharini Vishesha Sandhavani Pasati Deshakarni Hare Krishna. Yeah, so a verse like this kind of probably requires several classes to cover. So, just giving a recap here is Bhishmadev, after the Battle of Kurukshetra, is lying on a bed of arrows, and everyone came to see him, including Lord Krishna and the Pandavas. So at this point, after Bhishmadev finished giving instructions to Maharaj Yudhishthira on religious principles, he's preparing to leave this world. He's preparing to leave his material, this body. So at this point, he was meditating on Lord Krishna and offering his last prayers. So Srila Prabhupada started off this purport by pointing out the difference between a devotee's meditation or concentration and that of the mystic yogi. So it's very distinct here that a mystic yogi, they performs their meditation, and in a gross way we can graphically describe what meditation is. You know, if anyone tries to practice meditation and you try to close your eyes and you try to hold things very tight, well, let me keep my mind strong, let me keep it concentrated here. But it's a tedious process, and is not by any means something easy. But the devotee, he engages, as Srila Prabhupada says here, he is transcendentally related by loving service. So this is one thing to point out, that Srila Prabhupada in particular and in purposefully translated the word bhakti in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's stated there. The word bhakti means devotion. But Srila Prabhupada translated that word as devotional service, indicating that relationship with the Lord is done through loving devotional service. So sometimes one may say, that devotion, I have devotion for the Lord, but I just sit here. But no, the real devotional service is physical service, like what we've seen going on here, what went on yesterday, and what goes on every day. It's practical service. And this practical service brings about the engagement of all the senses and the mind in thinking about the Lord, and that brings about the highest trance. So this process, as against the mystic yogi's process that is called meditation, this process is called bhajan. Bhajan comes from the root verb bhaj, which means to worship. And is not any ordinary worship. It's a worship that is particularly reserved for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like we heard of Srila Prabhupada performing his bhajan. We heard Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur perform his bhajan. You didn't hear they describe as performing their meditation. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj performed his bhajan. Srila Gaura Kishore Das Babaji performed his bhajan. Madhavendra Puri performed his bhajan. Like that, all is described in this way of bhaj and bhajan, which is very, very different from meditation. So this is the distinction and discrimination between these two processes. So Srila Prabhupada also described the process of devotional service as against the impersonalist and the Mystic Yogi meditation. That the Mystic Yogi meditation and the impersonalist way is considered the monkey method. In like the way the monkey carried the young has to climb on the back of the monkey and they have to hold on by their own strength whilst the monkey moves, the mother monkey or father monkey moves from one point to the next. So they have to hold on by their own strength. There's no support. But with the devotee way is the cat way, the way the cat carries its kitten. It grabs it in its mouth and safely takes it from point A to point B. So it's a way of total protection. And this protection here is the devotional way of meditation or devotional way of performing bhajan to the Lord. It's one of total dependence. And it's so designed that when one engages all of one's senses in the activities of the Lord, then automatically they're controlled. There is no separate process of controlling the senses and then engaging it. It's done like what the Karmis say, you kill, I know my daughter was trying to figure it out yesterday, that you kill two birds with one stone. So it's automatically done. So this is a process of devotional service. And there is, in this process, one's whole entire existence becomes very easy because it is not strenuous. It's one of dependence. It's one of being independently dependent on the will of the Lord. And when one has that attitude, has that bhajan relationship, then the Lord takes care, just like the little child. When the older siblings, they are not so much directly under the control of the parents. But little kids, they are, because they are the most dependent. And when they cry, then the mother immediately goes to attend. So this is the devotee's position. And within that realm of a devotee's position, there are different relationships, as we discussed in our previous class. There are different relationships. When our taste for service develops, our bhav, our relationship develops, then each individual develops differently. They have different relationships with the Lord as described in this purport. It's described here that with Bhishma Dev, because he was a military marshal, his relationship with the Lord and his most relishable form of the Lord is in his form of his Parthasarathi form. On the battlefield with him seeing Krishna with the whip in one hand and the bridle in the other, carefully guiding Arjuna's chariot. In that form, he's able to relish the Lord more because his rasa with the Lord is such that one that appears to be opposing, appears to be an opposite party, and he appears to be an enemy. So in the about the end of the 12th canto, Srila Prabhupada is quoted there that he describes this with Bhishma Dev and the Lord, that when they were fighting, Bhishma Dev pierced the Lord with so many arrows, his body was bleeding. But the Lord enjoyed that. relationship. For anyone else, it may look very awkward. But the Lord enjoyed that relationship. And then Srila Prabhupada described just like two lovers. In their loving relationship, they may be biting each other and maybe even oozing blood. But it's not through anything inimical. It's through a strong loving affection that only those two can able to understand and relish. Anyone else would take it differently. I remember when I had one job, I went out there one day, and this one guy came, and his neck was bitten and his arms was bitten. It was kind of bleeding, and we asked what happened. Then he told his story about he and his lover, his girlfriend. And for us, that was so bad. And for him, he said, no, this was we had a very nice, loving time. I was thinking, what? So anyway, but when I read what Srila Prabhupada, mentioned about it, I said, okay, then, it started to make sense. So this is a relationship that others cannot relish. But Bhishma Dev is able to relish this relationship with Krishna, and Krishna is able to relish this relationship with Bhishma Dev because of this particular rasa. So further it's described that these relationships, that everyone on the battlefield, Bhishma Dev is saying that anyone who sees him, everyone in the battlefield, attains their supreme sarup, their supreme form. They attain their position back with the Lord. So, because they were able to see Krishna at the time of their passing. So, if you think about it, in yesterday's Srila Prabhupada's class, he mentioned that not everyone on the battlefield recognizes Krishna as the Lord. Only a few did. They didn't recognize Krishna as the Lord. But despite that, Bhishma Dev is confirming here that everyone who give up their life in the presence of the Lord, they achieve their sarup. So this is another form that the mercy of the Lord, that whether it's enemy or not enemy, whether they recognize Krishna or didn't recognize Krishna, they got the supreme destination. Just like in the pastime of Putana. When she was trying to kill the Lord, what happened? She gave the Lord her breast, her poisoned breast to suck on. Because she came in that form as the mother, offered him her breast milk, despite she was an enemy, Krishna gave her the supreme position of being one of his nurses back in the spiritual world. Of course, there's a longer story behind that. In her former life, she was the daughter of Bali Maharaj, Ratnamala. So when Vamanadev came to beg alms from Bali Maharaj, the Lord came in this little dwarf form, very little beautiful boy. So she was so attracted to this boy that she desired that, I want to nurse this child. I want to, give him, nurse him like a baby. He was so attractive. So then, because she had a desire, the Lord fulfilled that desire. That, you would get that opportunity. But afterwards, when Lord Vamanadev manifested himself in his big, gigantic form, with his third step stepping on her father's head, then she became angry that she said, I want to kill this child, this boy. So then Lord Vamanadev said, you would also have that opportunity to kill me. So that's the Putana, that she got the opportunity to try to kill the Lord, and Krishna fulfilled her desire as wanting to nurse him, so therefore she became a nurse. So all these relationships are very, very personal. So again, here on the battlefield, that is described that everyone who saw the Lord, even on not only Arjuna and the Pandavas and Bhishmadev who were devotees, not only they got the opportunity for spiritual liberation, but everyone else. If the ones on the opposite party, the ones who didn't recognize him. So this is the Lord's inconceivable mercy. So this, the Lord himself confirms in the Bhagavatam. Is it still on? Anyway, the Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, Text 10, where Krishna himself says, he says that both, in the verse it says, both the demon and the devotee, both the demon and the devas worship me as devotees. Let me see if I can find that really quick. So, okay, 2:9:10. Okay. Here it says, in that personal abode of the Lord, the material modes of ignorance and passion do not prevail, nor is there any of their influence in goodness. There is no predominance of the influence of time, so what to speak of the illusory external energy? It cannot enter that region. Without discrimination, both the demigods and the demons worship the Lord as devotees. So, this can be something, on the surface, can be something very confusing, that how the demons go back to the spiritual world and how they worship the Lord. But here it's confirming on this battlefield. There are many enemies. Some of them were demoniac. Some of them, they weren't all devotees. Most of them, they were, either neutral or they were demons. They were enemies of the Lord, as we heard the whole pastimes of the Mahabharata and so forth. But they all got a chance to worship the Lord. They all got a chance to go back home, back to Godhead. So when you get that opportunity, whether you're a demigod or a demon, you immediately get the opportunity to become a devotee. So that's the statement, that both the demigods and the demons worship the Lord as devotees, that they all become purified and become devotees. So this is the opportunity that's there in the presence of the Lord. So this is Bhishmadev's meditation on this subject matter. And if we look at many devotees, we would find this very common. Like even in our Damodar prayers, verse 7, Kuverat Majo, that verse says that just like how Krishna freed the two sons of Nalakuvara, Managriva and Nalakuvara, two sons of Kuvera, and gave them the chance to become devotees and make them into devotees. So the prayer is asking, please give us a similar opportunity. Please bless us in this same way, so we may also become your devotees. So Bhishmadev is praying in a similar way here. With all he is assured of his position, of his association with the Lord, there's no question about that. Yet he's praying, please give me the chance to stay in your association. So that's something very common. Kunti Devi prayed in the same way. Please let me stay in your association. She even prayed, let these calamities happen and again and again. So by such, I can see you again and again. Even Madhavendra Puri, when he was praying that he cannot relish, the association of the Lord, and he was crying, tears were coming from his eyes. So his one disciple, Ramchandra Puri, who was saying, why are you crying? He couldn't have understood the mood of his spiritual master, Madhavendra Puri, who immediately chastised him and actually moved him away from his association for disturbing that meditation that this devotee has with the Lord. So maybe we can give some other references where devotees, as revealed in the scriptures, gave similar devotional sentiment. Can some devotees give some other examples? Where they give sentiment of worshipping the Lord and begging for the association. Of course, Srila Prabhupada did that so many times. Can you explain? Can you explain a little more?
That's what he was in a similar situation where he was battling with Indra, and then Indra could kill him. Indra wasn't able to kill him, and then he. Vritasura just prayed to the Lord to please give his that he could attain association of his pure devotees.
Okay.
That's what Vritasura prayed.
Yeah, so any other examples? Who? Yeah, okay. Bilvamangala Thakur. Yeah. He was also praying for the association. We even just heard the prayers the other day, the prayers of Bilvamangala Thakur, so beautiful. That he's praying for the association, he's trying to trap the Lord. One point when he was there, he was saying, "Oh, I know who you are, that you're trying to trick me, but I know exactly who you are. You're that boy Krishna." And when he went searching for Krishna, he was searching for Bhagavan, and no one recognized Bhagavan in Vrindavan, in Braj. But when he asked for Krishna, then everyone knows Krishna, and he went after, and Krishna came out reciprocating. So like that, they're pretty much is the same sentiment that every devotee has with a relationship with the Lord, that with all this there, but it's the devotee sentiment to pray in this way. So Sadhguru Maharaj wrote this beautiful book, Enter into the Life of Prayer. Even the topic of that book is enough to really change your heart, not to speak of its contents. So that's the mood of a devotee, and every devotee has an individual relationship. Therefore, it's very vital in our spiritual lives that we do not interfere with the relationship that one devotee has with another, or one devotee has with that of the Lord. On the most part, in many circumstances, we may not be able to understand that relationship. Even with apparently common dealings with husband and wife, or children and your daily associates, that we may see things that one devotee do that we might not be able to understand. So therefore the best thing is to take a humble position, like what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj says. Only patience, humility, and respect for others are our friends of Hari Bhajan. It's a very, very powerful statement. Actually, one devotee gave me that plaque that I have in my home office. And ever so often I happen to glance and I would look at it, and I'm thinking that, this is a direct instruction from my guru in the form of this devotee that gave me this plaque, so I can see and be reminded of what my position is. So these are some of the thoughts. There are many more subject matters that are actually covered here, but time is short. So yes, Sri Devi Mataji, can someone give her the microphone? Where's the microphone? Oh, it's over there.
Thank you for your nice class, Dharamraj Prabhu.
Oh, thank you.
I was wondering, what is the difference? Like sometimes we hear, there's like the demon caste, like the Daityas, that, Prahlad Maharaj is from. And then there's like demoniac mentalities. And it seems like within that demon caste, there's like gradations of like demoniac mentalities. Like for example, like the classmates of Prahlad Maharaj, they were like interested in Vishnu Bhakti, when Prahlad was preaching to them. And they were like very interested. And then, for example, Hiranyakashipu, he didn't want to hear about Vishnu, and he was like Vishnu's like gravest enemy. But they were all like daityas or demons. So I was just wondering, like, what's the, like, how do we understand that? There's like the demon caste, but within the demon caste, Prahlad was a great devotee. So it's like a caste, but it's also like a demoniac mentality, which can be like, which is like a gradation.
Yeah, well, first of all, with Prahlad Maharaj, the scripture predict that, it says that demons were born in devotee families and vice versa, especially in Kali Yuga. That even demons can be born within our own movement, within any saintly association or any demoniac association, their devotees can be born there. So that was Prahlad Maharaj's position, that for some reason or the other, he appeared in that lineage. But as far as demoniac mentality, then there's such a wide variety. And the idea of any mentality, despite the grade of degradation or the grade of being demoniac, what intensifies that relationship is the intensity with which that mentality is manifested. Like these little demoniac boys, they were little demon children per se, for argument's sake, that they had some interest, but they came from this caste, and they were playing, some may be serious, some may not be serious, but then they are affected by the surrounding. Then you have other levels of demons who might be, you can say, like they're just low class, not necessarily demons. Like in Kali Yuga, it's described that we really, in the present situation, we really don't have demons, we just have low class people. Demons are people like Hitler, those are really, or Kamsa, that would look to destroy. A low class person would just live a low class life, including the leaders. So, but when one intensifies one meditation within that mentality, whatever mentality he has, let's say like in this case, Hiranyakashipu, his meditation was so strong that he attracted the attention of the Lord in an apparently inimical way, perverted way. So, in other words, if one has any mentality that one has, he can technically use it in the Lord's service. If that's intensified enough, directed towards the Lord, even if it's demoniac, then because it's directed towards the right source of happiness, then the ultimate result would be there. And and that is what on the lower level, that is Krishna's position, that he satisfies the desires of everyone as Bhavagrahi Janardana. Everyone's relationship he satisfied. So even in the demoniac realm, we should not be critical of anyone, or we should not be envious of anyone, or say, well, we're better because those are demons, those are non-devotees, we are devotees. Because ultimately, we are all children of the Lord, we are all parts and parcel of the Lord. They may have a particular relationship. Even this purport said it, but I didn't touch on it, that even with demoniac people or demoniac mentality, that the Lord relish those pastimes. There might be particular reasons why people are who they are, why some of us are who we are. So either way, as what is described on the battlefield, that everyone, whether they are devotees or not, they got the same benefit. Of course, one may argue, well, then why become a devotee? But that's a whole different argument. So if they all get the same benefit, but their position is different. So there are just so many different grades. It's like unlimited grades. But we are all in the same sphere, the atmosphere of the Lord. There any other questions? Yeah. Mother Akinchana Krishna? Akinchana Gochara?
Around
Okay.
the name. talked about our, I think it said our original nature, that when that's realized, we'll either attain Vaikuntha or Goloka.
Yeah.
So, what are the characteristics of that original, that form that would go to either or Vaikuntha or Goloka? And what's the difference?
Okay.
between
Yeah, the difference is on the Vaikuntha planets, they have 400 forms, 400 Vishnu forms. In Goloka, there's a 200 form that very much resembles that of Krishna himself. So that's the basic difference. And with the devotee's relationship, a devotee may be attracted to the Narayan form of the Lord. Some may be attracted to the Ram form of the Lord, like in the Chaitanya Leela, we had Ram Das. Lord Chaitanya was meeting with Ram Das and was preaching to him, but he couldn't have gotten him to change from worshipping Lord Ram to worship Lord Krishna. He was so fixed on that. Hanuman was very fixed on Ram. So every form of the Lord, even within the Vaikuntha planets, they are unlimited planets, that every form that they have their own planets. But generally, in a basic category, you have the Goloka planet and the Vaikuntha planets. So the Vaikuntha planets are generally the four-armed form. At least that's how it's described. So, depends on one's relationship with the Lord, they may go to one or the other. And we should not think that for our purposes that one may be better than the other, even though we understand that the highest devotees of the Lord are the gopis, and they are at Goloka Vrindavan with the two-armed form of the Lord. That doesn't negate Bhishmadev's position, who sees the Lord in his Parthasarathi form. And it's described earlier in this chapter, I think it was verse 19, where it says that he relishes the Narayan form of the Lord. So when everybody else was seeing Krishna with his two-armed form, and Arjuna was seeing Krishna in his two-armed form, Bhishmadev was seeing Krishna in his four-armed form, in his Narayan form. Because that's his relationship, that's his swarup. So, does that explain?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything else? So, I guess, yeah, Ramya Prabhu, you had your hand up? Okay. Ramya Prabhu? Yeah. Yeah, he's sitting behind if he has his hand here.
So I just was noticing one thing, that is that Bhishma Dev was engaged in his duties as fighting, as a warrior, and that duty was extremely intense. Yet in the midst of all that duty, he was meditating on the form of the Lord and feeling completely transcendental. So I thought that was perhaps a bit instructive, how that even though in the most intense duty, one may still be able to meditate on the form of the Lord by the Lord's mercy. And I was also thinking of a question which may not be answerable, I don't know, but here Bhishma Dev is saying how all the different personalities achieve their Svarupa. And I thought that is a very elevated realization. And I'm wondering if it's just based on Shastra, or he actually somehow understood that or saw that. Any indication on that?
Well, for the first part, you're talking about performing one's duty. So that was Srila Prabhupada's instructions over and over. And he even spoke about his own self, that in his position he still serves and performs his duty 24 hours a day. He never stops. So he's encouraging us to do the same. Never stop performing your duties. Maharaj Yudhishthira, actually one of the only times when Maharaj Yudhishthira got upset in the history of the Mahabharata was when someone accused him, I think Duryodhana accused him for not performing his duties. And he was upset with that because he never failed from performing his duty. That was his dharma, he never failed. So Srila Prabhupada is doing the same thing, he never failed from performing his duties. And so every one of us, whatever our service, our relationship with the Lord might sometimes be more subtle, but our service stands in front. But in that service, we have to keep that meditation with the Lord. So, again, what was the second part? I just want to make sure I got it correctly. Oh, Bhishmadev, yeah. So, whenever devotees of those caliber are speaking, it should be understood that they're there in the presence of the Lord and His pastimes, and they're physically seeing these activities. Just like in the 10th canto, you have the comment by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. If you read the Shararta Darshini, sometimes when you read the verse and you read Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's purport, it's completely different. It's totally on a different level, because he is there seeing all these pastimes, so he can give more than what meets the eyes. That's why his pastimes are so deep. Just like with the whole Bhagavatam we are reading, and at the end of the Bhagavatam, Mother Uttara, who is the mother of Maharaj Parikshit, came, and that's when he was about to pass away, and all the sages left, the whole Bhagavatam was finished, he was sitting in meditation. She came and she said, "My dear son, I'm a woman, and I cannot understand this whole complicated Bhagavatam. In essence, please tell me what was narrated to you." And then he narrated the whole Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So when I read the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, I can't figure how he grabbed that from the Srimad Bhagavatam. But he has the ability to see so much beyond, and he extracted the Bhagavatamrita from the Bhagavatam. So similarly, Bhishmadev and these similar devotees of similar caliber, they can see much more. They are always in the pastime of the Lord, seeing physically what's going on. And they can sometimes they give us hints. Another example is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. One day he was there in Navadvip, and every morning, like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, his disciple noticed that he would walk out and he would be going towards the Ganges. So then one day his disciple asked me, he said, "Guru Maharaj, you're going every morning like out of the blues, and at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning you're going, where are you going?" He said, "Oh, can you see that Lord Chaitanya and all his associates, they're performing kirtan, and I have an opportunity to join them, I'm going." And nobody else is seeing that. So, like that, these devotees are actually always in the presence of the Lord's pastimes. Or we can say, the Lord's pastimes is always in their presence. Not sure if that answers. So, thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.